specific prophecies, the order of events, and how we relate to them. So we're going to pray at this time, and then we will get going the unfolding of the final prophetic events, part 3. Our Father in heaven, we thank Thee for this camp. We thank Thee for the privilege we have of being here. We thank You for all those who have come. We thank You for Your presence, Your angels, Your Spirit, and all that has been granted us, offered us, provided for us. The privilege we have, the opportunities, and the responsibilities that devolve upon us. Bless us as we study Your word. Bless everyone who is here. May Your Spirit teach us. And may Your Spirit indwell us. And may Your Spirit enable us to give and receive all that You have for us. In Jesus' name, amen. So I want to begin with this question. Why are we studying prophecy? And I'm not asking, I want someone to come to the mic and give an explanation. And I'm not asking for some general reason, but based on what we have been studying so far, in the 2 sessions that have gone so far in this series, why are we studying prophecy? Why are we studying these prophecies? Someone to come to the microphone and give us that explanation. Somebody has been here the previous 2 days of the camp. Well, 3 days really, but my 2 previous sessions. Why are we studying prophecy? What is the purpose of the prophecy? Why are we studying the prophecies? I believe some of you have notes and so on, so you should be able to give an intelligent answer. So based on what we've been doing so far, why are we studying prophecy? Sister Flo? Sister Flo. If she refuses to come, you know well. Right, based on what we've been seeing before, why are we studying prophecy? Your answer.
It reveals the outworking and the history of the plan of salvation.
Yes.
Because, as some other part says, God will do nothing except He reveals what He's doing unto His servants.
Okay, so we are studying prophecy so that we can do what? Know beforehand. We said as we studied in Peter, 1 Peter chapter 1, as we studied there, we saw that the main thing that the prophets looked into, it said that they diligently searched and inquired. The main thing that they diligently searched and inquired into was what? The plan of salvation. So prophecy is foremost and above everything else the study of the plan of salvation and how that plan of salvation has worked out. And we have seen that God has beforehand set out the issues in the plan of salvation, the who of the plan of salvation, the what, and the times beforehand appointed. Times. So God wants us to know. And the prophets searched diligently and inquired. And then they prophesied for us the issues in the plan of salvation beforehand so that we would know. Right. So we said, so that we might know beforehand, and so that we might do what? What? Prepare. Know beforehand, prepare for those events, and something else. Not just know and prepare, but something else. What? Sister Flo, I heard your voice. Pardon? Help shape the course of history, but before that, participate in the fulfillment of prophecy. Participate in the fulfillment of prophecy and help shape the course of history. So we're not bystanders in the whole issue of prophecy and the outworking of prophecy. We are to know, prepare, and not just prepare to survive. All right? In other words, it's not a selfish preparation, but a preparation to participate in the fulfillment of prophecy and influence the course of history. That's what we are here for. So to understand beforehand the events to occur in the outworking of the plan of salvation, prophecy is first and foremost about the plan of salvation. So that we might prepare for those events, so that we might participate in the fulfillment of those prophecies and help shape the course of history. That's why we are studying prophecy. And therefore, in moving along as a consequence of that, we want to understand what is our work for today. How are we supposed to participate in the fulfillment of prophecy? So we can help the fulfillment of prophecy then. We can help the prophecies to be fulfilled. It's not just about sitting down and wandering and watching. We can help the prophecies to be fulfilled. And that's what we're here for. To understand how and influence the course of history. So we want to understand our work for today. Because we have a role to play in the fulfillment of prophecy. All right, so we're going to look at that through the lens of the two major events in the plan of salvation. Two major events. Two major events in the plan of salvation. Now, there are many events in the plan of salvation. And we observe that the call of Abraham, when God called Abraham from Ur of the Chaldees and tell him to come and go into a land that I will show you, that was a major event. That was a big event in the plan of salvation. Why? Anybody wants to tell me why the call of Abraham was a significant event in the plan of salvation? Anybody? Because Christ came through the seed of Abraham. That's what she said. Christ is the center of the plan of salvation, right? So when God called Abraham, it wasn't just about Abraham. It was about God's purpose in bringing to fulfillment the plan of salvation. Through the seed of Abraham, through the descendants of Abraham, through the line of Abraham, the Messiah was to come into the world. And since God had such a major and important role for Abraham to play, he called him away from his family to another land. Why? Why? Because now the family of Abraham were to all intents and purposes the only true worshippers of God around. Everybody else had descended totally into idolatry, totally into false religion and idolatry. But the family of Abraham were the true, they were the worshippers of the true God. And that's why God could find in Abraham's line, worship of the true God. They were the worshippers of the true God. Okay? But listen, although they were the worshippers of true God, they had already begun to embrace idolatry. But Abraham was holding a firm line. Abraham saw that idolatry was wrong and he was not embracing it. But his family was embracing it. So why did God tell Abraham to move out? He wanted him separated from the influence of the idolatry in his family. When God calls us to be clean. So he brought Abraham into the land of Canaan, where he will be free from the influence of the idolatry. And through Abraham would come the Messiah. God gave to Abraham also the oracles of God so that he could pass them on to people. So that was the call of Abraham then was a significant event in the plan of salvation. We'll be looking at the two major most significant events in the plan of salvation. And these two were from 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 11. We're going to read that. Open your Bibles. First Peter chapter 1, verse 11. You saw what went on the screen just now? No? Okay, good. Not supposed to peek. So we want to read 1 Peter 1, verse 11, and see if we get the two, from here, the two major events in the history of the plan of salvation, in the outworking of the plan of salvation. 1 Peter chapter 1, verse 11, reading, talking about the prophets, searching what manner of time the Spirit of Christ which was in them did signify when it testified beforehand two things. What? The sufferings of Christ and the glory that should follow. So, two major events in the outworking of the plan of salvation. One, the sufferings of Christ. And when did that occur? Let me move so you can see the sufferings of Christ that occurred when? Pardon? He said when? to look forward to. We can also find that those two events in another text. Another text, Hebrews 9:28. Hebrews 9:28. We're going to read that as well, Hebrews 9:28. We're going to read it. Hebrews 9:28. Starting from 27, and as it is, I'm starting from 27, okay? And as it is appointed unto men once to die, but after this the judgment, so something happened. So Christ was once offered to bear the sins of many, one, and unto them that look for him shall he appear when? The second time without sin unto salvation. So let me ask this question then. Does the second coming of Christ have anything to do with salvation? Huh? Yeah? Well, I thought only his first coming had to do with salvation. Second coming of Christ also has to do with salvation. It is an event in the history, in the working out of the plan of salvation. The plan of salvation was not finished at the cross. And it says that Jesus is coming the second time for the purposes of salvation. So the plan of salvation is not yet complete. It doesn't only involve the work that Christ did when he was first here on earth to save our souls. It also involves the work that he's doing to perfect our characters and to take us home within to glory. The glory that should follow. So essentially, we are living between those two major events. One, his first coming, and when he suffered for us. And two, his second coming, when he's coming to complete then the work of salvation and take us with him to glory. You got that? So we're looking now at something else. When Jesus came the first time, when he was about to come, a messenger was sent to prepare his way. The voice of one crying in the wilderness, what? Prepare ye the way of the Lord. And that messenger was John the Baptist. All right? Well, just as John the Baptist was sent to prepare the way for the first coming of Christ, God is calling for people today to prepare the way for his second coming. So we then are the messengers who are to prepare the way for the second coming of Christ. That's our work. Prepare the way for Christ's second coming. John the Baptist prepared the way for his first. We will participate in the fulfillment of prophecy and help change the course of history by preparing the way for Christ's second coming. It's also called, this work is also referred to as the work of Elijah the prophet. John was a representation of Elijah the prophet. And we in the last days will also be representations of Elijah the prophet. So it's called the work of Elijah the prophet, and we are also to be what? Didn't hear? the 10 virgins. 10 virgins. The 10 virgins went out with lights to lighten the road for the bridegroom to come from. The bridegroom went to the house of the girl's father to receive her, and then brought her back to his house for the wedding feast. And the virgins were to lighten the way to that wedding feast. So Elijah the prophet and the 10 virgins. These are the same work. Now, also, and significantly then for the prophetic component, our work is described and summarized and presented in a passage of the Bible called the Three Angels' Messages. And where are those messages found? Where are those messages? Where are the three angels' messages summarized and presented? Revelation 14. You ain't finished there? John Eric? Revelation 14, 6 to 12. Good. Good student of prophecy. Revelation 14, 6 to 12. So let's turn there. We're going to read it. Revelation 14, 6 to 12. And this passage also provides a basis for our understanding of the major end-time prophetic event. So we're going to read it, and we're going to read alternately. Okay, so you're participating in this event, but there's only a preparation for participating in the final prophetic event. So Revelation 14, 6 to 12. You're going to read it. We're going to read alternately. Everybody has it? We're going to read it, and I want you to do something as you read it. You know, sometimes you can read a passage and you just read it globally, right? Well, I want you to read now and itemize it. Because I want you to present to me, as when you finish reading it, I want you to present to me the elements of the passage. Break it down for me so we can get a clear picture of what we are dealing with. Okay? So, Revelation 14, 6 to 12, we shall read alternately. And I saw another angel. So as you read, see if you can pick out and itemize the elements. And I saw another angel fly in the midst of heaven, having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell on the earth, and to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Verse 7. I noticed that there are a few persons there that had their eyes shut, but they were repeating the text. I saw Sister Lois. I saw Sister Flo, eyes shut, but they were repeating the text. So let's see how many of us. That was verse 7, right? I put myself in trouble. All right. So let's see how many of us, though, can close our eyes and read the text. You can join me with this one, verse 7. I'm closing my eyes. Well, I'm not looking at the Bible, okay? And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her. Good. Very good. Verse 9. Over to you. the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation, and tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. And they have no rest day or night. Thank you. And they have no rest day nor night, who worship the beast and his image, or whosoever receiveth of his name. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus. Revelation 14:12 says, and the faith of Jesus. Revelation 12:17 says, and the testimony of Jesus Christ. Good. So what we want to do now, collectively, together, is to look again at these texts, at these messages, Revelation 14:6-12. And I want you to tell me, break down for me, itemize for me, look at it, itemize for me what is being said here. Elements of the three angels' message. The first angel's message. What would you say is the first element in the first angel's message? What? Pardon? All right. What's the first thing that happens then? What's the first thing that happens? That's the first thing that happens? Well, John saw. John saw. What did he see? What's the first thing he saw? An angel flying in the midst of heaven. Good. So what's the next thing? Having the everlasting gospel to preach. This angel was, wait. The angel had the everlasting gospel to preach, so he was preaching the everlasting gospel to whom? To every nation? I want you to give it to me in the order that you say it. So he's preaching the message to who? Those that dwell on the earth. And then it says, to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. With a loud voice. Okay. With a loud voice, okay? So John sees an angel. He's flying in the midst of heaven. That means he's going worldwide. And he has a message called the everlasting gospel, and he's preaching it to the inhabitants of the earth and to every nation, kindred, tongue, and people. It's a word of worldwide extent. It must go to everybody in the world. That is part of our work today. The message must go to the whole world. Now, right now, in a sense, well, not just us here, okay? The people all around the world carrying this message. But we doing our part here. I think we need to do much more. But right now, then, our messages are going out via the internet, streaming, YouTube, and so on. And the people following. People complain when something goes wrong. If the message takes too long to upload, they want to know where it is. People follow it. Okay? And that's why I'm saying then that God has called us to know the events, to prepare for the fulfillment of them, and to participate in the fulfillment of prophecy and help change the course of history. So listen, we are only a little set of people here, and it's only little me, but I believe then that even here in this session, as we are doing this study and sending out this message, we are participating in the fulfillment of prophecy right here, right now. Because the prophet saw an angel flying in the midst of heaven, carrying this message. The angel it brings the message to the earth, to God's people. It is God's people that carry the message to the world. And we are doing it. So are we not right now participating in the fulfillment of prophecy? Yes or no? Yes. Yes. And we can do more. And you can do more. You can do a lot. Your friends at school, at work, want this message. And you can carry it. You know, it spread me one time when I was, should I say a young Adventist or new to Adventism? Because when I came, and I was in my late 20s, so I should say new to Adventism. Wouldn't have been a young Adventist then. But I heard in Black Rock Church, I heard Noel Oliver preach a message. He was a young preacher then. And he said, each of us have peers. Each of us has peers. Peers. P-W-E-R-S. Not the pear tree. Each of us has people that we can influence, people that we associate with at school, at work, at our level, people of our level. And we can influence them, and we can give them the message for this time. And as we do that, we are participating in the fulfillment of prophecy. So I said, well, you know what? I know some of the very friends that I have. And I want to be able to give them this message in an intelligent way that they can understand. Well, I tried. But some of them, when I began then trying to share the message, some of them were more intelligent than me and had a better understanding than me. And I took some licks. I tried to tell them the message, and they gave me some answers that had me stumped. Couldn't respond, had to go home, shut up. But that inspired me to learn. Because you learn when you go out there trying and taking licks. You got to come back and study. So I keep trying and, eventually gain a better understanding of the message and therefore better able to share it. So participating in the fulfillment of prophecy, we can influence our peers. So he cries with a loud voice. And what is he crying? What is the angel saying? Fear God. And that fear is respect, reverence, love, not being frightened of God, okay? All right? Fear God. What else? Give glory to him. Give God the glory. It is time to give God the glory. The first angel's message is about God. Okay? It is time to respect God, reverence him. It is a call back to worship of the true God. Fear God. Give the glory to him. And that message is appropriate for this time because people are giving the glory to the scientists and the politicians and the economists who have the world in trouble. But listen, you know why it's time to give God the glory? Some of the most brilliant men in the world, well, this is what the world says, brilliant, right? For instance, a man named Stephen Hawking. You know him? You've heard of him. He suffers from a disease that has debilitated his muscles and so on. But his brain is still functioning. And he's a leading philosopher and scientist and so on. And he's an atheist. And he has to speak with some sort of a loudspeaker, right? But you know what he's involved in right now, a project that he's involved in? This is where we need to give glory to God, all right? Believe the word of God. A project that he's involved in right now, but listen, he and some others have come to the conclusion that this planet is in trouble and it can't last very long from now. Well, their time might be a few thousand years. But they've come to the conclusion that this planet is going to reach a stage that it cannot support life. Doesn't believe in God, doesn't believe in the Bible. We know that already, right? Long time. We know the planet will reach a point fairly soon where it cannot support life. And you don't have to go to university to study that. Just read the Bible. Come here. Read the Bible. Listen to the message, and you know that. Good. But now, they're getting scared. Worrying. So he and others are planning a project to send spacecraft out into the universe to the nearest galaxy, Alpha Centauri. That's what's his name. It's just a few light years away. But they want to get there quick. To see if, yeah, Brother Merton, you have a question? 5 minutes. To see if there's life out there, one. We know that already? We know that already. But he's spending billions of dollars to find out. And to see if there are other inhabitable planets. We know that already? Okay. So this is why you need to give the glory to God and not to the scientists, the politicians, or the economists. Spending billions of dollars to find out what God has already revealed. Okay. So give glory to him. All right, let's move quickly then. Brother Merton has just given me a few more minutes. Give glory to him. Why? For what? For the hour of his judgment is... What's that judgment? The investigative judgment that started in 1844, also called the cleansing of the sanctuary. The hour, fear God, give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is come, and do what? Worship him as creator. So that's the first angel's message. And you notice anything when you read, when it says worship him as creator? I just said worship him as creator. Worship him as creator. Worship him that did what? That made the heavens and the earth and the seas and the functions of... That remind you of anything? What? Sabbath commandment. So this worshiping God as creator includes a call to return to the keeping of the seventh-day Sabbath. Okay. A message of reformation. And the second angel's message, what? Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Briefly, interpreting the second angel's message briefly, you can take note of this. It predicts the collapse of false religion. Babylon represents false religion in general. And this Babylon is fallen, it predicts, it says, well, look, God's message is going forth. Therefore, for the light is going to be shed on false religion, and it is going to be seen for the darkness that it is. Babylon, it's fallen and falling. And it calls for the rejection of false religion, because God is sending his message to call us back to his true worship. False religion. And specifically, it announces, that second angel's message announces the fall, a spiritual fall of those churches that heard the first angel's message and rejected it. And when they rejected the first angel's message, they consigned themselves to the belief and the propagation of false doctrine. They heard the first angel's message as presented by William Miller and his associates. They reject, some people embrace the message, went on to become Adventists and Seventh-day Adventists. But those who rejected, the churches that rejected the message, consigned themselves to the belief of false doctrine and the preaching of false doctrine. So, for instance, they preach now that when you die, you don't dead. Sorry, when you die, you don't die, but you live on. False doctrine. They preach that Sunday now either is the Sabbath or the Sabbath has been changed. False doctrine. They preach that before the final events begin, the church will be raptured and taken to heaven to be away from those final events. False doctrine. And that results from rejecting the first angel's message. When you reject truth, you consign yourself to the belief of false doctrine and the preaching of false doctrine. Third angel's message, quickly, it warns against what? You're still with me? It warns against the beast. Specifically, what about the beast? In order, it warns against the worship of the beast, yes. The worshiping of his image, it warns against that. It warns against receiving his mark. It warns against receiving his mark in the forehead or in the hand. We need to understand that. What it means to receive the mark in the forehead or in the hand. The brain lobes, that is receiving the mark in the forehead. Receiving it so that you believe it. And in the hand, as Brother Saul said this morning, they're by you. But it's the same thing. It warns against, and then it pronounces judgments on those who receive the mark of the beast. It says, they shall suffer the undiluted wrath of God. It's called the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture into the cup of his indignation. Read Revelation 15, verse 1, the 7 last plagues. That is the wrath of God, which those who receive the mark of the beast will receive. They'll be tormented with fire and brimstone, etc., etc., and the smoke of their torment ascends up forever and ever, mark of the beast. Good. We need to study it to find out exactly what it is when we go to Revelation 13. But God gives us an antidote against receiving the mark of the beast, etc. And that is found in Revelation 14:12. Let's repeat it. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus. Let us embrace the everlasting gospel. Let us receive the faith of Jesus so that we can have the patience of the saints and keep the commandments of God and therefore be victorious over the beast, his image, and his mark. Fight successfully in the last great conflict and be alive to see Jesus when he comes, so that having embraced his sufferings, we shall partake in the glory that follows. Let us pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for your goodness and love. We thank you for your word, which is so precious to us. It's a lamp unto our feet and a light unto our path. And those that embrace it and eat it shall find life for their souls. Enlightenment to the eyes. And understand the path to be taken and the work to be done. Help us to study, to know, to prepare our hearts, study the word, understand the word, eat the word that it will transform our lives, and help us to be victorious in the final events and stand ready to see Jesus when he comes. We pray in his precious name. Amen. Amen. Thank you. God bless you. We continue with our final morning session before lunch.